You're listening to the Redneck Hockey Podcast, where the takes are hotter than a fresh batch of Bowberry biscuits. My name is Griffin Daughtry, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts Connor Weeks and Alex Pace. If you're joining us for the first time, thanks for tuning in. This is our very first episode, which will probably be more than apparent by the time we get to the end of this thing. If you don't already, please consider subscribing to the show now before you realize just how new at this we really are. Also, while you're at it, you should give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle is @RedneckHockey_. Finally, one last piece of business that I've been told that I'm required to mention. My girlfriend Chelsea came up with a name for the podcast, and I was instructed that we could only use it if we paid homage to her in the first episode. Shout out to Chelsea for being funny. Without further delay, let's talk hockey. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, we have to do
didn't know that.
The fan questions too.
Fan questions.
The made up.
I was about to say we don't have any fans
from Winnipeg.
Yeah, he's an avid listener.
Thanks for listening to us, Kenyak Jason.
All of our fans live in Ottawa, and they aren't entirely sure who we are. They didn't even know that there was a hockey team in Raleigh, North Carolina.
We address each of them with Kenyak before their name.
They just saw the name Redneck Hockey, and they're like, okay, that's interesting.
I love listening to Canadians talk about redneck hockey, and they're just talking about other Canadian teams. They're talking about like white trash Canadians. They're like, oh, yeah, those Ottawa fans or Edmonton fans or redneck hockey. So every time I go and like search our name, I'm like, yeah, they're talking about other Canadians.
There's that like the Montreal team. I think they wouldn't hire like anyone, a coach that wouldn't speak French or something, or Quebecese.
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah, dude.
Oui, monsieur.
You could be like who's it? The Blackhawks have like their 25-year-old coach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's actually 35, but still impressive. That
he looks like he's 25.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
He needs to grow a beard. Well, I wouldn't be able to see it if he had one because of the damn masks.
What's a guy?
Winnipeg. They're crushing this. Well, not crushing, but they're handing the Senators another loss. Boston's up 2-1 on the Flyers because people in Philadelphia don't deserve nice things.
Philadelphia is literally the saddest story. I mean, despite the fact that Buffalo's Buffalo, Philadelphia is easily the most pathetic other team.
Yeah, what's going on with Corey Hart this year?
Corey Hart. Yeah, he's like 23, I think, or 24. He's just like, I don't know. No goalie is good right now for Philadelphia. They got Brian Elliott, who's shit in the bed constantly. No, dude. They were supposed to have like one of the up and coming teams with like their defense, the Provorov, but
they were kind of surprising last year, like how good they were. They were deep and physical. I mean, I don't know. Every game that we played against them was just an absolute bloodbath.
They went on like a huge run.
Flyers have had a goalie crisis for like 10 years straight. And every year you think they're going to dig themselves out of it. Brian Elliott just like doesn't show up to play.
Sounds he gets hurt. Like one team that I watch a lot. They had a lot of goalie issues for about, 10 years.
What team?
Couldn't be the Canes.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Well said, Kenny Griffin.
Yes. Cam Ward, my favorite, best, and worst player of all time.
You mean
the Cam Ward years?
Cam Ward.
What did I just say?
He was the whipping boy for a long time. It was him and Justin Falk. Once our defense started getting good, it was Justin Falk. Like when Justin Falk was our best defenseman, he was like the golden boy. But then we actually started getting good defensemen, and they're like, all right, Justin Falk is at fault for every single goal.
He's certifiable trash now.
Yeah.
Is Kenyak Dougie Hamilton just a glorified version of Kenyak Justin Falk?
Oh, Kenyak Hamilton.
That's rough on old Dougie, and I think a lot of fans would be willing to kill you for that take. I don't know. He's looked really good recently.
He's been good, but defensive.
No, well, defensively he's looked great this past week. he's been great defensively. But usually I sit around and yell at him or yell at the TV about how he doesn't play defense. He just takes slap shots at the blue line.
Yeah,
He's taking some rough penalties against the Blackhawks, though. It's like 4 penalties in 2 games.
Yeah.
I think he's 8 penalty minutes this last week. I think Svetch too is getting frustrated when he can't score. He takes more penalties with the stick.
You know who else jinxed it or didn't jinx it? I guess
Kurt Cobain
on Bally Sports.
Oh, about. Can we talk? Let's usher in that segment because it's been bothering me since last night. Both the Hurricanes Twitter account and Bally Sports Canes tweeted with 4 minutes left on the clock, Peter appreciation post. I'm like, it's 1-0. Like, I'm appreciating Peter not letting goals in right now, but you very well could jinx it. You're gonna either cost him a shutout or cost us a win. And I tweeted at both of them. And of course, Bally Sports waited until the game was over, and then they quote tweeted us and were like, jinx what? And I was like, dude, if you had cost us this game, we would be having a completely different conversation right now.
We would have had about 45 minutes of nothing to talk about, but just roasting Bally Sports.
I'm gonna roast them anyway. But yeah, I was furious to see that on the Twitter timeline. I was like, why are you both of them did it?
It was good. I liked it.
They didn't even respond to my GIF or GIF.
They're Caniacs now.
It's GIF, Griffin.
Is it?
Yes,
no, it's GIF. Wait, is it GIF? No, it's GIF.
I've heard. We're not even going to do this. We're not having.
Well, the creator of the GIFs called them a GIF. So
I thought he called them GIF.
He calls them GIF.
That'll have to be a segment for next week because we're not going to argue about this. I would like to bring up in our Bally Sports talk. I think what are we 2? We're 2-2-0 in the post Fox Sports Carolina era. Is that true?
Oh, really?
Because we lost the first game on NBC Sports, and then we won the next one to the Blackhawks, and then we lost the first game to Dallas, and they were all in regulation, and then we won the second one.
So
haven't we only been Bally Sports for the last 2 games?
2 games, yeah, but. The
so
post
1-1.
Fox Sports Carolina's era, we're 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I still use the Fox Sports Go app, even though they have a Bally Sports app.
I also do that.
Change over.
NBC was rough. Listening to John, the second game was great. Everyone loves some John Forslund. Honestly, it's been so long since I've heard his voice. I didn't even it took me a minute to be like, is that really John? Did they give him a nicer microphone than usual?
He was amazing. It was like I felt transported back in time, like the old calls. I mean, like remember that run we had where he was we made the playoffs for the first time, and then we went to the Eastern final, and John. It was just like that was like prime. That's going to be one of the best years. Yeah. Well,
and Mia Khalifa was tweeting about Warren Fogle.
Just that whole playoff run, just that whole getting to the postseason for the first time, hearing I watched some old like John stuff after that game. I was like, man, those years were great. Or that year was amazing. The storm surge, everything was. I mean, just listening to the game with John, that was the first time he's called a Canes game since I think he worked for us, wasn't it?
I miss when John had a mullet and he used to go around RBC Center, not the PNC Arena, and sing "Come on, come on, come on, let's go Canes."
Oh yeah, John, that hair, man.
That is the single greatest Hurricanes promotional video I've ever seen.
We used to do the St. Baldrick's thing too, where Tripp would always shave his head off. I feel like we haven't done that in a while.
I might have been the only one to catch this. I might have been the only person to catch this. I know I texted you guys about it, but it was when who took that penalty? It was a penalty in the second period on Dougie Hamilton, and it showed a shot of Dougie obviously upset that they called a penalty on him, and then it zoomed over on Rod Brendamore, and John Forslund was like, and the coach isn't happy about that either, and that struck me kind of weird that he didn't just say Rod Brendamore,
the coach.
Yeah, he called him the coach. To me that was when it really hit me that it was John trying to stay neutral.
Yeah, I mean, he was there. He did the introduction for Brendan Moore's jersey, his raising to the banner. So it's, I don't know, I think it might have been just a one-off,
It
but
could
it
be.
is definitely weird because he wouldn't have done that when he was a, guy for us.
I think it's purely the fact that it's NBC. I think he knows that the listeners don't necessarily know who Rod is, and so he just kind of keeps things neutral for the sake of listeners. But
Like
you could
they
tell,
don't
like,
know who Rod the Bot is.
dude, people still just don't fully comprehend a lot of important things about life. But if you listen
Maniac
to like
Rod.
his mid game takes, like he was constantly bringing up like Fogel's birthday, and like he would say full names for our players, and then he would only say last names for like Blackhawks players. So you could tell, like John, even in his most neutral NBC sports takes, is still like the man bleeds red. And I don't just mean he's a human being. I mean he's a caniac. Pace is a ticket guy and a seats guy.
That's not how that works either.
Is it not?
No, I mean that stuff's interesting to me for sure. I've always been interested in like the television broadcast side of it.
I'm just saying you have the insider knowledge of how ticket sales go.
Yeah, yeah, I do know a couple ways. I don't know. There's definitely times to strike when the iron is hot as far as like buying tickets and whatnot. Like in that run in 2019, I remember they were talking about how out of all of the markets, the hockey markets that were still playing at the time, ours was the most lucrative, mainly because we hadn't been in the playoffs for so long. But we were seeing like 400 or 500% ticket increases. Yeah, it was crazy. Like
Well, it changed a lot throughout the playoffs. I mean, y'all remember because we went to almost every home game, but it would be like it was like homegrown fans for the first like series against the Capitals. And then by the time that like all of the wine and cheese crowd, as I referred to them as, caught wind of the fact that the Hurricanes had made it to the second round of the playoffs, we were like surrounded by like people in blazers watching games, and like they wouldn't stand up and cheer, and they like looked around almost amazed at like the amount of rednecks in the stands who were just like stoked to see the Canes back.
Come on, Canes.
In the
I'll tell you
playoffs.
what, I would have easily paid the $50 for the just to be in the arena and like stand at one of the, it was like Buffalo,
The top of the bottom,
Buffalo Wild Wings,
or whatever. Yeah, whatever they have. Like I definitely would have paid $50 just to be there if we had made it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
They had it in the playoffs. I think there was building capacity was what they were selling.
Mhm. Yeah, it was $50, but if you got there, like you had access to the bar, so like you could get drinks and you could like stand at a an area where you could kind of see the games. Like I didn't really think it was that bad.
That's cool. And you said they're doing you told us they're doing college tickets again.
Yeah.
Noon, right?
Yeah, that's what I've seen. And in the past, as long as you have an EDU email, and then it's like military as well. So like
do you still have your email for college? Mine got deactivated.
Yeah, I have mine. And at least when I was there, like they didn't care if people used the college email, because they're just like, well, we have to sell these tickets anyway. Like they have a certain amount that they can sell. So like if they sell, they sell. If they don't, then like they just kind of waste, So
yeah. I mean, remember Andrew's girlfriend just like held up her phone and was like, look, here's my college email. And they're like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to get in trouble for saying this. They're like, they're going to crack down on the ticket sales staff and be like, hey, look, none of that.
Yeah. I think it only really makes sense for them to like put that like something in place when they start selling out. Like Toronto could do that, but like the Hurricanes aren't going to anytime soon with like, if you have a college ID or not, we're not going to give you a ticket. They're not going to look into it too much.
They don't have time. They're trying to sell tickets and get fans in the stands.
The other games were like, I saw tickets that weren't sold out. Like I don't like over the Easter weekend, like Friday night, I think there were still seats that didn't sell because I think the prices are going to go down a little bit.
They're going to have to, because people don't want to pay $160 every 2 days, because there's games every other day and people want to go to all the games, especially like season ticket holders. They're not going to pay $180 to sit in the nosebleeds for non-playoff hockey.
Regular season.
Are they selling single game tickets right now? The way that, or is it just all secondary market stuff? Because the way that I have kind of understood it so far is it's mostly season ticket holders or people who had a package.
They send out season ticket holders initially. I know that because Chelsea got the email and she bought tickets for Thursday, and 28th or something like that. And it was like a priority thing, but I think it's only for like a couple of days and then they go live for everybody.
Mhm.
We were gonna buy tickets to the Dallas game Sunday, or Sunday. One of the others, but we had tickets to Gilbert Gottfried because he was in Cary.
You should have brought him with you.
I guess they're putting in bring Gilbert Gottfried. Check, it's a good story.
Anyway, that's a good segment into talking about our upcoming opponent.
Yes, Florida.
Shit.
6 straight and in first place. So big 2 games for us.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Peter's back, and one game, no goals, top of the league in expected goals against. Like he's just like the best goalie and continues to be. I don't know when the other shoe's gonna hit.
Yeah, I think 60% shutouts is not sustainable, right?
No, it never was. And Peter actually gets a lot of shutouts compared to most goalies, and he always kind of has been that way. Same with Reimer. Reimer gets a fair amount of shutouts for a backup goalie. He did the exact same thing when he was the backup for Luongo in Florida. I would pick him up in fantasy all the time. He'd play like 2 games back to back. Luongo's hurt, put out 2 shutouts, and then he would get beat, like 5-0 to Ottawa, and he'd be like, all right, I'm going back to the bench.
He's perfect in the backup role. Like once we put it, like when we tried to put him right when Peter went out and before Ned started to come up, like we tried to we had Reimer start like a bunch of games, and that's just not his style. He starts to deteriorate his play, and I don't know. He's not as good when he has to start consecutively as many times. He's way better in like a tandem, and a lot of goalies are.
They made it really easy on him last night, I thought. The number of shots was pretty deceiving by the end of the game. Like at one point in like the second period, the Dallas, they had like less than 10 shots total.
Well, that's gotten to be a theme with the Hurricanes this year, which is unfortunate for me because I have every single one of the Canes goalies on my fantasy team.
You do.
And it's like some games they play, and it's like if they lose, like Ned won the other night, and he had like 13 saves total. So I got like 8 points for a win with Ned, and I'm like, all right.
That's the Canes goalies mantra too. It's like they have a good game and they save like 20 shots and let in 3, and they still win or something. And
yeah.
And they would have a good game, but they have like an 800 something save percentage. Mm-hmm. That's always been the case. Like Cam Ward played really good years. I mean, not, I'd like to say we have better goaltending now since Cam Ward.
I was a bit surprised that Dallas started Ottinger in both games of a back-to-back.
It was
hurt right now.
No, he test positive or
he had COVID
or something.
Oh, okay, so it was out of necessity.
Test.
They told Ottinger in the middle of the night, like, "Hey, Kudobin's out. You got to play again tomorrow," and he was just like, "All right, cool."
Ottinger's good too, though. I think he won the draft right before Nedeljkovic did, or the one after. It was, I don't know. He's like, there's a lot of goalies right now in that draft that are coming up. Vanacek for the Capitals. I think the starting age for a goaltender is really like around Ned's age, like as far as a rookie goalie coming into the league, because you don't have like an 18-year-old goalie coming into the league anymore. Like they stew way more, and a lot of people were really like Ned's a bust because he's not playing for the Canes, and then he had that stint last year, or when like Reimer went out and Mrazek went out, and we had Forsberg and Nedeljkovic playing, and Forsberg was kind of out playing Ned. The team doesn't play as good, I think, in front of Ned as they do for Reimer or they did last year for Forsberg. I don't know what it is. I think that's going to just be like a comfortability thing. Like Mrazek and Ned play the same way. They have that kind of erratic flex. Like they lean on their athleticism more, and their ability to play the puck, and Reimer is more of a positional goalie, and Forsberg's more like they play the same style. I think it's just the team's more comfortable. Not to say that I think Reimer should be the backup. I think Ned should be the backup for sure. I don't know. I'm trying to bring this point home.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. I mean, I'm in full agreement with you there. I think Ned probably should be the backup, or if they had like a 1A, 1B, like they've always done under Rod Brindamore, at least Ned should be that guy. But
Yeah.
my concern with that would be like, how effective is Ned going to be if he's seeing every third start, like, or if you go every other day, like how effective is Mrazek really going to be? Mrazek's another guy, like he does better when he plays more.
Yeah.
Do y'all think that Rod is going to give Ned or Reimer the backup position?
So I don't know. Part of me thinks to answer part of that question, I think they'll keep all three because if you
Scratch them,
I don't think that. Well, first of all, Nedeljkovic, from what he's shown, is probably not going to clear waivers. Like some team is going to pick him up just as like a dice roll type of thing.
Even though he did last time, you're right. I think he wouldn't now after his rookie of the year.
Reimer,
the month.
He's a serviceable. He's a serviceable veteran. He can play solid. He's a solid backup. I don't think he would clear waivers either. I think they're not going to be almost forced to keep both of them.
I think we're going to see a trade really soon here.
If we were to trade one of them, of course, it'd be Reimer. But
I don't think we'd get much for him though.
And with like the way like injuries have been with our goalies, with Peter in the playoffs and in the past this year, I don't think we trade a goalie going into the playoffs.
I'd be shocked if we traded one of the goalies.
Well, Don Waddell was hinting at it.
Yeah, I think the rumors are there. I don't think really, as far as the trade deadline goes, if we want to talk about the trade deadline, I don't think we do much. I don't think we add many pieces. Maybe a seventh defenseman, if we get like maybe a bottom six forward. But
I don't think we really need to. It's kind of like what we were talking about last week. We have so many forwards, and then we're still maybe expecting Turbo to come back, and Trocheck just came back, and Mrazek came back. So we were already getting two shots in the arm. We might be getting a big third one pretty soon.
But Brock just got hurt, and Brock is a high intensity and highly physical player who isn't really replaceable with anybody we've got sitting in the taxi squad.
And he's one of our better penalty killers.
He never gets hurt too.
Yeah, and Brock literally, if he goes out, then it's for a real reason. That man can take a puck to the eye, and he will come back and play the rest of the period.
Speaking of puck to the eye, I know I texted you guys a little bit about this, but my mom sees the same doctor as the Hurricanes for her eyes. And one game in 2019, somebody got hit in the face, and they had to get their eye checked out the next day. My mom's appointment got pushed back like 3 or 4 hours because he took precedent.
Well, I found out that Connor and I get our haircut at the same place that a lot of the Canes players get their haircut. So I'll know if I get my hair appointment pushed back, then Rod's got to get that silver put in or something. He's they don't have time to see me.
That's just as serious as a puck to the eye.
That's true. Who's getting the mullet in their hair then?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Well, doesn't Dougie already kind of have one?
Yeah, Dougie's got a solid one. Doesn't Ray Shea kind of have one going too?
I can see that. I think Dougie is kind of like the meme guy. He does like the banana phone thing. You seen him do the floss. I think he
kids they're flossing, John.
Yeah, I
think
I think I can see Dougie getting the mullet. Who else?
I think Rod should get a mullet.
Have a
Trip is one good mullet and a mustache away from being the focal point of redneck hockey. I have to look up the most important segment before we run out of time.
Is Nedeljkovic a top 10 goalie?
Ooh, in the NHL.
He's the top 10 goalie of the month.
He did win Rookie of the Month.
I don't even know what that means necessarily.
Nietzsche's was too. I mean, like, it's awesome to like have rookies of the month and also be like a top 5 team in the league, a top 3.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean, it's only up from here, or hopefully, it's only up from here.
We got so many prospects in the. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I think we're like in a great position for like a long time of being in the playoffs and being like our cup window could like start 5 years from now, and we'd still be great with like how young our team is and how many prospects we have coming up. We got Suzuki, we've got Seth Jarvis. He's like he crushed it in the AHL.
So I just checked, leading into our very important segment. Did Jeff Skinner score this week? He did not. He did get 1 assist, but he did not score. He has not scored in at least the last 6 or 7 games.
Did you guys see that breakaway that he had where he had no stick?
Yes.
Did I send you that? Oh my God, so
really?
funny.
I missed that.
He's not allowed to score.
The goalie with no stick.
Yeah, he's just like kicking it around and like trying to pass it. And he about ate shit after he got bum rushed by a bunch of players.
Dude, man, if someone would just like teach him how to take a hit or like look out for like just be more physical, I think that would just change his whole career.
Speaking of being physical, the Hurricanes had 54 hits last night.
Holy shit! I didn't know
It was a physical game.
Oh, yeah,
I cannot believe that no one has gotten in a fight recently.
Paquette tried to fight.
Yeah, he tried to fight.
Well, yeah, but then they both looked at each other and like, wait, neither of us were involved in this play. And they're like, all right, cool, let's move on.
Yeah.
And then they still took the penalty for it.
We need more people like that. We need that edge in the playoffs.
They play better when they're on edge like that. When they're, physical and the intensity is high and people are frustrated. And I mean, other than like Svetch drawing penalties, it's usually works in our favor. I mean, every once in a while you need Svetch to get his ass kicked so that we can win a game.
Well, I mean, the biggest games they've played recently, they've been pretty physical. Like the Tampa game, they were, more physical than Tampa. Against Dallas last night, they won that. I mean, it wasn't a close game. Like it was 1-0, but we easily could have won that game like 3 or 4-0.
Well, they have to be physical. If they're not physical, they lose. That's just like the mantra of the Hurricanes. Every game that they come out of the gate and they look surprised when they get hit, we always lose.
Yeah, when they're not prepared to start the game like that.
Well, you know what's going to happen. We're going to slap cheeks against Florida and then get crushed against Detroit.
Thomas Greiss is going to have his best game ever.
I think he only has like 3 wins, this guy. But he won. He beat Tampa 5-1.
Yeah, they keep playing well against Tampa. It's really weird how Detroit will just completely crumble against easier teams, and then they'll go and they'll play Tampa and they'll really have a good showing. Well, boys, do you have any parting remarks before we sign this one off and march into this week against the Panthers and Detroit?
Happy birthday, Warren Fogle, and congratulations to Supreme Leader Trip Tracy for becoming verified on Twitter.
That's very important development in Caniac history to see Trip get the check mark.
Well, let's eat some bowberries and have a good week.
Is that the ending? Is that what we're going to use for the
I'm definitely going to edit that out.
Good. I hope you edit a lot of this.
I can't wait.